Section 3.4, assignment number 2, number 30. So here we have a rational function being raised to the second power. This is a very, let's say, challenging problem in that you have to be very careful at every step. There's a couple of approaches. We could take the chain rule and then the quotient rule. However, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to raise each thing to the second power first. So t squared to the second power is t to the fourth. And t cubed plus 2 to the second power is t cubed plus 2 to the second power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the quotient rule first, then I'll have to take the chain rule. So let's get started. So in order to take the derivative of this function, I have to use the quotient rule. And the quotient rule says this. It says, first, take the derivative of the top times the numerator minus the numerator times the derivative of the denominator all over the denominator squared. Well, the denominator is t to the third plus 2 squared. So if I square this entire denominator, I end up with t cubed plus 2 to the fourth. All right, so now we're going to try to simplify everything. We're going to have to pay very special attention to this part here so that we don't make a mistake. So let's see if I can do it. So derivative of t to the fourth, that's going to be 4 times t to the third times t cubed plus 2 squared minus t to the fourth times, well, now we have to take the derivative of this. So I'm going to have to use the chain rule. So in order to use the chain rule, I take the exponent and bring it to the front as a coefficient times t cubed plus 2 to the 1 power, because I subtract 1 away from the old exponent, times the derivative of the inside. Well, the derivative of t cubed plus 2 is going to be 3t squared. Once again, all over t cubed plus 2 to the fourth power. So now let's try to simplify the numerator. So I'm going to leave this part alone for now. So I'm just going to rewrite everything as is. Now here we have 2 times 3 is 6. And t to the fourth times t squared is t to the 6 times t cubed plus 2 all over t cubed plus 2 to the fourth. Okay, so now let's continue. So rather than distribute, well, I couldn't even distribute if I wanted to because this is being squared. I could have here, but rather than doing that, I notice that I have a common factor. So here I have 2 factors of t cubed plus 2. Here I have 1. So I'm going to undistribute one of these factors out. So that's what's going to be my next step. So I'm going to undistribute one factor of t cubed plus 2. So if I undistribute, or if I divide out one factor of t cubed plus 2 from each term, here's what I'm left with. So the first term, I'm going to be left with 4t cubed times t cubed plus 2. I end up with one factor of t cubed plus 2 instead of 2, because I'm unfactoring and I'm taking this guy out. Minus, so if I take this second term and I divide out t cubed plus 2, well, that just goes away, and I'm just going to be left with 6t to the 6th power all over t cubed plus 2 to the 4th. Let's continue. Notice that I have 1 factor of t cubed plus 2 in the numerator and 4 factors of t cubed plus 2 in the denominator, so I can cancel some stuff out. So that's going to be a good move for me. Now on the top, I am going to now distribute. So I'm going to go 4t cubed times each of these. So 4t cubed times t cubed is 4t to the 6, and 4t cubed times 2 is plus 8t cubed minus 6t to the 6 all over t to the 3rd plus 2 to the 3rd. It's to the 3rd now because once again we did some cross cancellation. Now all I need to do is just combine like terms. So 4t to the 6 minus 6t to the 6. Well, that's going to leave me with negative 2t to the 6 plus 8t cubed all over t cubed plus 2 to the 3rd. And if I wanted to, I could go a step further and I could factor the numerator completely, which might be nice to do sometimes. What can we factor out? We can factor out a minus 2 times t to the 3rd power. We can factor that out. So I'm going to factor minus 2t to the 3rd power. Well, what's left behind? Well, if I divide this whole thing, minus 2t to the 6, by minus 2t cubed, I'm going to end up with t cubed. And if I divide 8t cubed by minus 2t cubed, I'm going to end up with just minus 4. So this is a perfectly acceptable answer. I'd be happy with that. But if you want to show off and go the extra mile, you can also completely factor the numerator. So that's pretty much it.